What's going on, good people? This is your boy Alberto, your host of the 95 North Falcons Talk Show. I got my boy with me right here. Needs no introduction, man. Smitty, go ahead and bless him right quick with the name and where they can find you at.
Hey man, y'all know what time it is. It's Smitty Sports Machine. I'm kicking it with my main man Alberto. I done took a flight up north to 95 to Rhode Island, so we gonna
Woo!
take it from Rhode Island. We gonna do our thing, man. But I might have to stop down in Philly to get me a cheesesteak because I'm kind of greedy. But y'all know how I do, man. I talk Falcons football all the time. Anything Atlanta really because I went to my first Atlanta Braves game at Truist Park Tuesday. Man, I had a blast. Hadn't seen an atmosphere like that in baseball in a very long time. And I'm gonna just keep bringing y'all these stats, these videos, and my main man Alberto. Well, he on this side, well that side, and hey, we're gonna bring y'all all the action we can, headlines, top headlines, sports stories, anything you can name, we're gonna bring it. He's new to these YouTube things, man, so show him some love. Hit that subscribe button below. Please follow him because if y'all support me, y'all support him, man. And that's how we gonna rock it.
Thank you. And for those new to the show, yes, this is the 95 North Falcons Talk Show. I'm up here in lonely Rhode Island, man. It ain't hot like the South, man, but we trying to bring you with this heat, with this content, all Falcons talk and all Atlanta sports, everything. So without any further ado, Smitty, we came up on this topic regarding Dean Pease. For those that don't know, Dean Pease, the defensive coordinator for our beloved Atlanta Falcons. Claiming last year we ran the defense at a 60% capacity, and he fully expects the defense to be ran at 100% this year. Give us your take on what you think about the numbers and where this defense can go at 100, as Dean Pease claims, Smitty.
And I get where he's coming from because I look at it as a video game. And if y'all know about video games, Madden, I love Madden. And you play it on the rookie mode. That's for beginners. So that's what he did. He put in just enough of the playbook for them to learn to get a grasp of, and that's what he was doing last year, getting the grasp. Because y'all got to remember, he didn't have his full complementary players for his system. So this offseason, they went and did exactly that. You see it in free agency, you see it in the draft. With free agency, we talk about Lorenzo Carter, Eddie Goldman. NFL draft, we talk about Arnold Ebiketie, Dr. Arnold Ebiketie. D'Angelo Malone, shout out to him, happy birthday. Birthday same day as mine, so I know he's going to be a good kid. But they made a slew of moves to put his type players on the field, so now he has the ability to run his defense at 100% because he's going to be comfortable in his personnel and what he sees that they can do. We talk about single high safety blitz from the safety position. We can see Isaiah Oliver blitzing, even AJ Terrell from different sides because even though it's not called a zone blitz, I can see them running those type schemes in Atlanta this year. And this is why I love what they've done, and I can see them, being a top 10 and top 15 defense if they can catch on and do what they need to do to make plays. So that's what I think he thinks 100% means, finally getting his personnel and doing things the way he needs to do.
Yeah, and I can agree to that too, because like you mentioned, AJ Terrell possibly blitz and stuff like that. I like to see Richie Grant also, elevate his game and hopefully bring a tone-setting mentality to the defense. He was a great hitter in college. He does have some coverage liabilities, but I think within the defense itself, I think Dean Pease can hide some of those things and use his attributes to his fullest. What's his name? Haywood, kid that we picked up from Oakland. He's another one. Casey Haywood, another guy with some speed. So I like to see when Dean Pease says 100%. It's gonna be interesting to see, is he gonna maximize individual potentials rather than a whole defensive unit? Because if that's the case, then the signing of Eddie Goldman to that defensive line is big. Grady Jarrett's gonna feast. It's gonna be huge. It's huge.
Not only Grady Jarrett.
Yep.
I think the outside linebackers as well. Because, like I said, if the defensive line can push the pocket, and collapse it just a little bit to get those outside linebackers a better angle and,
Yep.
better angle towards the quarterback, I think that 18 sack thing is out the door. And I've already
Right.
said I can see them having well over 30 sacks this year just because their personnel. And as you said just a minute ago, you look at the speed that they added at the edge position. Hey, it's the sky's the limit, and that's just what he needed.
Yeah. One guy that we've all been praying for him, I'm sure a lot of people in Atlanta have been too, is Marlon Davidson. Hopefully, he can benefit with the signing of Eddie Goldman, or is this a sign of things to come that, he hasn't matured enough or shown exactly what, they could get out of him. Maybe he's plateaued as the type of player that he was made out to be. I mean, I know that injuries and COVID kind of derailed him early in the years, but he's another guy that can pay major dividends. And not to mention also, I can't pronounce his last name, but Ade also, he played very well for us last year.
Ogundeji, that's what I call him.
Ogundeji, there we go.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Ogundeji, I think he can definitely benefit from this too. He was a strong edge presence last year for us, setting the edge. He was in his rookie year, but he did show some flashes and some potential. So I'm really excited to see and hear that the numbers that Dean Pease is throwing out, couple wild cards, maybe, what are the Falcons going to do with Deion Jones? That's always the big if with, training camp approaching. That's the $100 million question or $20 million question, because that's what he's on the hook for this year. So it'll be interesting. Do we keep him? Do we trade him? What do we do with Deion Jones? Because quite frankly, if he is kept, I wouldn't mind seeing the duo over Rashad Evans and Adebo in the middle, manning that down, giving Troy Anderson some time to develop, use him sparingly or to his best attributes. The kid ran a 4.3 as a linebacker. So using him as a blitzer up the middle or on the sides, hey, man, it could be dangerous. It could definitely be dangerous.
I'm going to take a step back just a little bit when you talked about Marlon Davidson. I give you one person that is going to give him a push for that defensive end spot, and that's Taquan Graham. Now, I'm looking at his stats in 13 games and say he only had 15 tackles. But his effective run game was way much more than what his stats are saying. So if he gets that defensive end full time, which I probably think he will, I think that position solidifies because Graham is, he's 6'4", 300 pounds. So he's an excellent size for a defensive end in a Dean Pease 3-4. Because I said you go back to Baltimore with Sylvester Williams and Haloti Ngata and guys like that, they had a big front going in front of Ray Lewis and those guys. Terrell Suggs. It was one more guy who was on the other end of Suggs. I can't think of his name right now. But y'all catch my drift. He's added speed in Lorenzo Carter and D'Angelo Malone and Arnold Ebiketie with the power. So he's added all the elements to the outside. So Taquan Graham, Eddie Goldman, and Grady Jarrett could be that trio that they need up front to get that defensive spark and make them come alive. And you talk about Deion Jones and what to do with him. If they keep him, and I think they will, and I think he will be at the move on the trade deadline because now I thought about this also. We could see Deion Jones move at the end of preseason because you have casualty cuts, you have guys that younger players have took their position, and now they have to look for another team. So if the Falcons feel there's another guy out there that can come in and take Deion Jones' spot, you can see him move that way. He could be released. I mean, it's just so many ways they could go. But I truly believe that Deion Jones will probably be moved at the trade deadline, if not before the season, because I just think his time in that down is over. Might as well get something for him while you can, and just see how it plays out.
Yeah, that's true. I can agree to that too. Also, we got Michael Walker, Swiss Army knife himself. On defense too. He's a guy that can man the middle down as well with Rashad Evans or Troy Anderson, whichever way they want to throw that combination out. Any wild cards you see on this defense that think that may take to the game to the next level, so to say? We got a guy. I'm gonna give you my guy real quick. I think Isaiah Oliver, if he can,
that's a great pick.
injury to the side. I know it's an ACL tear. Those things are a year or two away from actually being the player that you once was.
Right.
And I read a little article on him that he had to get over some mental lapses because it was tough for him to he was doubting himself, in other words. But he came on for us big last year, and it was sad to see him go down week 3 against the Giants. But he was finally carving his niche within the defense, being an effective blitzer, great tackler from that secondary position. So hopefully, if all goes well for him this year and he can speed it up, he's a guy to look out for on defense for sure.
Right. I go secondary as well. And I'll go Jalen Hawkins. And the reason why I go Jalen Hawkins, because as I told you before, that New York Jets game, I just seen a flash of him that says if he get more playing time, and I understood why he didn't get playing time because they played Deron Harmon last year, paid him a lot of money, so why not
Right.
play him?
Sure.
So Deron Harmon went to Las Vegas, I think, and reacquaint with Josh Daniels, and God, I don't know why. But I think Jalen Hawkins' speed, athleticism at that safety position, I think it gives the Falcons a lot of flexibility. He was one of those guys that I was talking about earlier. Dean Pease can do a slew of things with. He can come off the corner like Leroy Butler did back in Green Bay back in the day. And if y'all too young to know about that, please go look at some film.
Right.
Just like the Jets game, he blitzed up the middle about 3 or 4 times. Actually got a half a sack. So that game let me know Jalen Hawkins, he's the real deal. And if he can snag that starting position, I think he'll have a grasp of it for a long time. And who knows? He may, bring Richard Grant along a little bit better because he has somebody back there just as athletic as he is. And they both can feed off each other. But I tell you one thing. If Eric Harris starts, it's going to throw everything off.
Oh, man. No.
I'm just being real with y'all. I'm not being mean. I'm just saying. A guy that's really a linebacker playing safety, pretty much like Keanu Neal, that's not as athletic as both of those guys. Come on, man. Come on.
True. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna dial it back a little bit. I know we talked about it before. I'm gonna call it out on the limb, and I ain't trying to be mean neither, but I don't even think he makes the squad, man. To be honest with you, man,
I wouldn't be
think
surprised.
that would be Dean Marlow's spot. Dean Marlow came over from the Lions, and man, he showed a lot with Detroit in a short amount of time that he was there.
And they love him in OTAs this offseason.
Yeah, yes, they did. So he's bringing in intensity, and that's good. Another guy to look out for is Tease Tabor. I know he's kind of been bouncing
special
around, so to
guy.
say.
Yeah,
he's a special teams guy. Yeah, so he might be relegated to that, but who knows? These guys sometimes they find their niche and they just find their way into the starting role.
This is another thing, like we just been saying all show, goes back to what Dean Pease can do with everybody. Everybody has a role. If he can use you in certain roles, he will. Just like you said with Tease Tabor, he's mainly a special team guy. But if he could bring him in on a third down and blitz the quarterback because he's fast. He ran a 4.38, I think, on a 40. So he's super fast. He can get to the quarterback. You just have to give him the path to get there. So, I love it, bro.
I do too, man. It's just exciting. Camp is about 2 weeks away. And, sometimes little minor deals are made before camp and stuff like that. Can Atlanta stand to, make another acquisition? And if so, if it is made on defense, is there a player out there that you may see as a ball, like out of the park hit home run type signing for Atlanta or being brought in from another team? Give us a guy if you have one in mind.
Offense or defense?
Defense.
I don't know because I said Eric Flowers on offense at guard. And y'all go to my videos, y'all will see why I picked Eric Flowers. But I'm gonna give y'all a little insight to it. He was drafted in the first round by the New York Giants back in 2015. And he was ruled a bust the first couple of years, but you got to think about it. New York coaching was so bad and their offensive line was so thrown off till he could not progress and he could not develop the proper way. Make a long story short, he, was released and he went to Jacksonville, Miami, and Washington, where he thrives in that with that offensive line because they had guys like Brandon Sheriff and Morgan Moses then. So he had a lot of help around him. He went to Miami, signed a 3-year, $30 million deal. That did not play out because they cut him because they needed the cap space and none of his money was guaranteed after the first year. So you look at it, he goes back to Washington in 2021, regains who he is. He actually played very well on that offensive line last year, but they cut him after a 1 year, $3.25 million contract, which is very affordable. And if the Falcons can get him at that price, hey, why not? The guard position is not solidified. The right tackle position is not solidified. So you have two positions on the field that are not solidified, that a veteran that's still only 28 years old can come in and help and probably help his zone blocking scheme. Probably better than Mayfield, better than Ifedi, who knows? But I think Eric Flowers could be that guy that they could bring in at the right price and take this offensive line to the next level. Because
and that's one thing.
Guess what? They still need help at the offensive line, no matter if they
have
absolutely 15 players at one position on the roster. It's only one person that's going to solidify that position, but Eric Flowers is a veteran that I would look out for.
And I would agree with that too. I mean, signing Eric Flowers, will give us, the best tandem that we've had since Chris Chester and Andy Levitre, and that was back in our Super Bowl run. We haven't had two solid interior offensive linemen like that in quite some time. It's been a revolving door. So that bringing a guy in like that may give Mayfield some time to just settle in and learn the game a little bit better. And also Justin Schaefer from Georgia that we drafted, another guy that can just stand to be redshirted just so he can get
Marlow in the trenches.
Marlow. Oh, he is absolutely, man. So giving him
the only
time to
thing
learn
that I think he needs to work on, he's strong as an ox, but his technique slips it sometimes. He gets too high in the pads, or his hands usage is just going the wrong way. I've seen it a couple of times, so I would love for him to stay here, but his techniques need some work. He don't have a problem in the strength department, but when you need technique help, that means you have to learn the game just a little bit more. So I agree. I think he would be a great addition, and I think he'll stick around even if it's just the practice squad.
Yeah. So you gave us your pick. I'm going to give you one. And folks, for those that have subscribed to my channel, if you can kindly go back and check it out with my first video, Smitty, you can't never have too many pass rushes in this league. Defense seems to be the key to winning games, ending games, what have you. Chris Odom, we've talked about him maybe a little bit. USFL league just ended, led the league in sacks with 13, if I'm not mistaken. Really refined his game. Really refined his game, man. It's just a different attitude, different mindset. He's playing like a whole total different player. I would love for Atlanta to, at least give him a look, man. I know that he has some places that he's going to. He's got him lined up. I think Seattle was one of them where he was going. But Atlanta, bring him back home. He was with us in 2017 for a brief moment on the practice squad. Got elevated to the main roster.
And you made a great point when we were talking about that. Can you give the people a little bit of insight as to what we talked about?
On which one, bud?
Chris Odom, about why he got released. Yeah, about who was in front of him in the depth chart.
Oh my God, who was that? Vic Beasley and Tack McKinley. Those were the two gentlemen that were in front of him that first time that he was around. So he really couldn't do much at that time. But man, being bounced around.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Devondre Campbell was there too. Yeah. Yeah, so
Devondre Campbell was there, yeah. So he had some folks in front of him. But one thing that would be great, him being on the roster, is if we bring him onto the roster, we got D'Angelo Malone and we got Arnold Ebiketie on the outside. So he can probably play a little bit more than those guys, seeing as that he's already has a taste of the NFL and what it's like, the ins and outs of it. That's always an upper hand on those younger players. But that's another guy. That's another veteran mindset, so to say, that these young guys can learn for. And sacks are sacks, man. But when you put up 13 sacks against any level of competition,
no matter what level,
you're doing something right. And that's one
guy.
Same
thing I said about D'Angelo Malone.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. In college,
32 and a half sacks.
Man, you can't teach that. Cannot teach that, man. He's doing something right. But
y'all stay tuned because I got a piece coming on D'Angelo Malone. Y'all just wait on it. Trust me, y'all gonna love it.
Yeah. That's some awesome stuff, man. That's some awesome stuff. So, Dean P's talking about 100% of the defense. Is there any concerns currently you think on the roster right now, like any glaring weaknesses that are like most prevalent that Atlanta should try and shore up before training camp, or is this roster?
I'll give y'all
ready to
another
go?
one. I'm working on this video right now. I'm editing it. It'll be out tomorrow. I think it was Falcons Report on Sports Illustrated. They proposed a trade idea from the Cleveland Browns for the Ernest Johnson running back. I loved it because they made great points as to why the trade would work.
Mm-hmm.
He played in Cleveland last year. He was actually the fourth running back.
Mm-hmm.
And he got 2 starts. And he
Right.
ran for 245 yards in those starts. And he had an excellent season with 534 yards on 100 carries. That's a 5.3 average, 2 touchdowns. So they made another point about Damian Williams and Quadra Allison. We know Quadra Allison has not worked out in Atlanta. And Damian Williams is 30, 31 years old, somewhere in there.
Right.
And he's still much younger than both of those guys. So he can come in with the workload that he had last year, build on that, and he gives the Falcons their speed back, their Tevin Coleman type back. And I think that's exactly what they're missing because Algier, he's a downhill runner. Cordero Patterson, he's a downhill runner, but he can run off tackle. But I think Johnson would add another dimension as far as north, south, east, west, and receiving. So if they make that trade and they can get him for a day 3 or 7th round pick, I'm all for that all day.
That's cool. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I had to say a glaring weakness, it would have to be the safety position for the Falcons right now. I think we're solid on the corners. Casey Hayward, AJ Terrell, there's really not much to say there. Those guys, they can be islands of their own, so to say. I think we boast one of the most promising linebacker cores in the league due to the youth and potential. All those guys mentioned from earlier. The defensive line is coming along. Grady Jarrett being a steady presence there as the veteran, as the Pro Bowler that he is. I think we're okay there, but it's safety. Safety to me, the back end of the defense is probably the most glaring need so far for the Falcons. We haven't really seen Jalen Hawkins' potential or full potential. We know what Isaiah Oliver brings. I know you had mentioned before a trade candidate in Chuck Clark, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. That boy, oof. He can play both positions. Man, that would be awesome. And
that would be
a lot of y'all don't know, Dean Pease drafted him out of college. Coached him 1 year in 2017 when he was drafted, and he did not hit the field like he was supposed to, but he's learned the game. He knows the system, and I think that would take the Falcons defense to another level as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And now with Kyle Hamilton down in Baltimore, being as a high pick as he is, exactly. So, he's there possibly for the taking. That could be one of those little, last minute deals before training camp moves that,
I could see
we
that.
can see Atlanta making, and so
I could see that.
Yeah, for sure. That's one for sure.
But yeah, man, it's gonna be very interesting to see go from 60 to 100. It's just like being in a hoopty. The hoopty only goes a certain amount. I go back to an 84 Buick.
Oh man!
Then you step into a 2021 Kia Stinger, which is a V8 that goes 100. I think in 4 seconds. So it's just an upgrade, and I think a lot of the moves there made have upgrade. They cut a lot of the baggage that they had last year. I think those guys were temporary as well. And what I like what they've done the first 2 years is sign a lot of contracts that they can get off of in 1 year. So when they get to next year in 2023, they have cap space. They can add the necessary pieces to complete this team. And we probably could be talking about a Super Bowl contender next year. But we'll see how it plays out. But the pieces that they added this year are pieces that they can build on, and I love that about what Terry Fontenot has done. And people, they slander him, But you got
They
to
do.
remember, this guy built teams in New Orleans that were contenders for years. And I hate the Saints. Don't get me wrong. But I'm
Don't get
not
it
going to
twisted.
disrespect what they done to make the team that
No.
they had to
Right.
put on the field to be competitive. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I love about Faulkner. He studied, he learned how to build the team, and he was the vice president or vice president of the scouting department. So,
Yep.
I
He moved
mean,
his
he
way
knows
up.
how to do his job.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if Rich McKay, Arthur Blank let him do his job without interfering, I think the Falcons would be good to go in the next year or two.
Yeah. One promising thing that I like and I see that Atlanta's switching over to, obviously, you never want to, build off of an old regime. Now that Arthur Smith and Dean
Right,
Pease are in, you're kind of going away from that. Before with DQ, we had, shorter defensive players that can hit. Now we're inheriting a team or building a team that has size along with the speed and can hit.
right.
Evidently more uh Rashad Evans from Tennessee. Like
Right.
Dean Pease said, he said in the comment, I
Troy
don't know why that
Anderson,
team let
rookie.
him go.
Right.
Troy Anderson, the rookie. These guys are thumpers down. Not so much downhill thumpers, but maybe Troy Anderson is, and yeah, sure, Rashad Evans. But these are guys that are downhill runners and thumpers as well. He
And
got
they
speed
have
to cover the
another
sideline to
linebacker
sideline.
on the roster that I
Mm-hmm.
think can develop, and that's Dorian Etheridge. If he can
Right.
develop into a situational player,
Yep.
that could be another sleeper guy that they have on the team. He would make Deion Jones expendable because we see him last preseason against the Tennessee Titans
He was a
have
dog.
13 tackles in one game. So
Right.
he has the ability. He just needs the reps, and that's with
Yep.
everybody. So
Everybody.
I mean, they just have to put everything in place, and I think they're doing everything the right way right now
Mm-hmm.
to turn this thing around, man. I hope it's sooner than later.
I hope so too, man. I think we've been through too many cloudy days, and as Falcons fans, man, too long,
Man,
man. But
I talked about
it's
that the
time.
other day, but I'm not gonna get
Yeah.
back into that because they will get pissed off at me because I
Oh
told
man.
y'all
Hey,
growing
sometimes
up in
violence
the
is the
late
come
80s
on.
to early 90s. Come on, man. Y'all got it
Yeah.
made in the shade. Y'all mad about 7-10 season. I remember 1-15, 2-14. So y'all be thankful.
Woof, 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 woof. But yeah. So, like we mentioned, today's topic was Dean Pease and how he sees the Atlanta Falcons running their defense at 100%. Those are things that are well and good. It's time for the team to put the product on the field and show us within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
Timing, training camp opens, preseason's right around the corner too. Hopefully these boys can gel and mend and just bring us the team that we've all been waiting for. This in essence, man, it's been a while like we just talked about. So I'm excited, man. I really am.
Hey, I
I
am
got
too,
high hopes
bro.
for this team, man.
But one thing I want to say before I get out of here.
Yes, sir.
I'm proud of you for you done came, man. You started with me
Thank you.
a couple of months ago, and
Yeah,
you do it with such ease, and
I try to, man.
laid back. You know your stuff. Just do your research, and you just come on, and it just flows smoothly.
I appreciate it, man.
And just keep growing. And 95 North Falcon Talk Show, man, is going to grow, and
I hope
I know
so.
it will. And you just keep up the good work, man, because I got your back, and we're gonna keep rocking
Always.
this thing.
We always will. So, folks, that's the show for the night, man. It's just like my boy Smitty's saying, man. It's my first live. I appreciate everybody in the comment section. You got a question or want to make a comment about the show tonight? Just leave it in that comment section below. I'll be more than happy
And make sure y'all
to
press that
address it.
subscribe button,
Yes,
please.
sir. Smash that
Y'all
like
support
button.
me.
Smash
Press that
that.
subscribe button.
Hell yeah, man. Let's get this thing rolling. Smitty, I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me tonight on my first live. Really, really, all hats off to you, man, as the mentor, as the guy that, pushed me to get where I'm at today. And for those tuning in and watching, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And, yeah, man, that's all we got for today. This is your boy Alberto, 95 North Falcons Talk Show. My boy Antoine Smitty Smith. We out of here, man. Peace.